We can use the firewall as a DHCP server. In many smaller implementations, the firewall is the only active device on the subnet that can handle out IP addresses. In smaller networks, we have no local servers, and we can then set up the firewall to be a DHCP server. DHCP is the protocol to hand out IP addresses dynamically to clients requesting IP addresses. And we can see in our lab environment here that we have an inside subnet of 10.0.0. That is where we want to configure a DHCP server. Everything that has to do with the DHCP server in the firewall is configured with a command that starts with DHCPD. DHCP daemon. That's DHCP server configuration part. The first step that is mandatory is to set up a range of IP addresses to hand out. We do that with the command DHCPD address. And after this, we need to specify two IP addresses and a dash between. That means that we specify a range of IP addresses, the first one and the last one. Like, for example, 10.0.0.200 to 10.0.0.254. And we also need to specify which interface to apply this on, because there is a possibility that we use DHCP server on more than one interface on the firewall. Next step, which is optional, but we always do it in real life, is the DHCP DNS that specifies which DNS servers to hand out to the clients. And we do that with IP addresses like 8888, and we can specify more than one. We can actually specify two of them, and we hard code the interface inside. That's optional actually, but I recommend you to do that, to say that all clients on the inside should have these DNS servers. And then after that, there's only one more required step, and that's to enable it. DHCPD enable and the interface to enable it on. DHCPD enable inside. We enable the DHCP server on the inside interface. Show run DHCPD sees these three commands. And that's all there is to configure a DHCP server on the firewall. There are more optional settings that can be done, but most of them are rarely being used. For example, we can change the lease time, and we can also put in DHCP options. One option that is not set here, that you normally set in a DHCP server, is the default gateway or the router option. That you cannot set in the ASA firewall, but by default and hard-coded, the firewall IP address is the router that is handled out for DHCP. That means that when you connect to the inside network with a DHCP client, you will get an IP address in this range. You will get this DNS server, and you will also get the router option that is mandatory. And that option will automatically contain the IP address of the interface of the firewall, 10.0.0.1, and that cannot be changed. And there are a few more options for DHCP server, but they're rarely being used. So this is all you need, these three commands. All you need to do to run DHCP server in the firewall.